Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Fitness and Freedom podcast. Today, we've got a very special guest on the podcast, someone that's actually quite new into my world, but someone who is very aspiring, very motivational, and just honestly, an amazing person in general. So, I'd like to welcome on Darren Malale Muscle. How are you doing, brother?
How you doing, Thomas? Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Likewise to yourself. I feel like we're in a community where like-minded people just fucking just bounce off each other. So
Hmm.
yeah, thank you for having me, mate. It's good to be here.
Yeah, man. I remember the first time I met you, and I was like, you just, whenever you see like big guys in the gym,
Yeah.
it can always be like a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating. And then when you came over and like you initiated conversation, I was like, oh man, this guy's like the nicest guy ever. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
I like to have that. I like to break that stigma of like
yeah.
being a big guy, whatever, muscly tattoos. Like, you look intimidating, but you're actually the nicest guy you could possibly speak to. So,
Yeah, love
yeah,
that, man. Love that. And I think a lot of people have that kind of like perception as well, which we'll get into in
yeah,
a
yeah.
minute in terms of like the gym's a scary place. But once you actually get to know
Mm.
people, like everyone's just in that, like you said, in that kind of environment, everyone's just super like friendly on the same journey
Oh
anyway.
yeah,
Which is amazing, man. But let's strip it back then. So obviously, like I said, we probably met in the summer. I think it was just like leading into summer at
yeah.
the Shed in Cheltenham gym by JP and James Hollingshead. But let's rewind, bro, to like 17 years ago, 18 years ago, when you first stepped foot in the gym, I believe at a very young age of 15. How was that? What kind of got you into that? What was the initiation that made you want to get into fitness at such a young age?
So at the time, I was obsessed with wrestling. So back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like WWF, WWE.
Best era
Yeah,
of wrestling
yeah.
ever.
It was the best era ever. The Rock, Batista, Brock Lesnar, fucking all
Triple
these,
H.
all these larger
Yeah.
than life characters. It was just like wrestling was just the bee's knees back then. And yeah, it was basically like I essentially grew up without a dad. So my dad passed away when I was a baby, right? So I've grew up with just my mum. Shout out to my mum, she's the best woman in the world. So I think for me, I didn't have a male role model growing up. So I would look to these other characters, these action stars, wrestlers, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone.
Hmm.
Again, back in that time, it was very much the action star was like this big, muscly, ripped alpha male, basically. Yeah. And at the time, I was severely underweight. So I was mega, mega skinny. So that's
Hmm.
my background. I come from, I don't like, obviously, I don't like to use the word anorexic because I wasn't diagnosed or anything like that. I was just severely skinny for my height. Because I'm 6'3", so I'm tall.
Hmm.
And at the time, I remember when I first weighed myself, I was 55 kilograms, right? Which is incredibly underweight for my height, right? And I just felt dead insecure, dead
Hmm.
inferior. I didn't feel like these strong alpha males that you see online and the movies and all that, and then on wrestling. And I was like, I don't know what it was. I just wanted to be bigger and like feel confident within myself. So that's how I started. But interestingly enough, it took me 2 years to build up the confidence to actually step foot in a gym.
Hmm.
So I had mega gym anxiety when I was 15. I thought that I can't go to a gym. Like I'm a skinny wee boy. Like the
Hmm.
gym's full of massive bodybuilders. It's full of athletes. Like I didn't know what a gym was and who was in it. You just have this perception of us, all these people that know what they're doing. And
Hmm.
it's funny though, because when you actually get into the gym, a massive percentage of people in gyms don't have a clue what they're doing. They're just they're just going through emotions. But yeah, I basically trained in my bedroom for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, so my
Wow.
first 2 years of my bodybuilding career, I was in my bedroom, locked away, like feeling embarrassed, feeling all insecure, lifting weights, trying to get bigger, and I bulked myself up to a certain point. where I finally felt like, okay, now I can maybe step foot into a gym.
Mm.
Um, and I've got so many things I can cover in terms of gym anxiety. Like when I first went into the gym, I remember wearing a baseball cap and I had it down dead low. So it was like, it almost felt like I was hiding myself. So I'm in the gym, headphones in, cap on dead low. So now when I see people in the gym and they've got their hat dead low, and I know that that person's probably a bit insecure, they're a wee bit intimidated. Do you know what I mean?
Hood up, hat,
Yeah,
headphones.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's obviously fine. You do whatever you need to do to kind of block out all the fucking noise and the distractions. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. I wanted to look like a wrestler. That's why I
Yeah,
started lifting weights.
love
And
it.
and back then, all the wrestlers all looked like bodybuilders. They were all massive
Mm.
guys. And then you get to know wrestlers, and then you get to know it was Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman. That was when they were like going head to heads, and I was like, oh my god, these guys are ludicrously huge, like larger than life guys, and you just think you're just fascinated by like how the hell can the human body look like that?
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy. So did you get straight? Because a lot of people they kind of step foot in the gym, they just want to like you said, they're skinny kid or
mm.
overweight person. They want to like either bulk up, lose some weight. For you, was it straight into the bodybuilding kind of persona, or did it that naturally transition over time?
No, it's funny that I just went straight in at the bodybuilding. Like I was like, I want to look as huge as possible. Like, yeah, I was just obsessed with just wanting to be massive.
Mm,
But the thing is, you soon realise. Obviously, back then I didn't have a clue about genetics. I didn't know what genetics were. So I trained for like 3, 4 years, and then you're like, wait, I'm nowhere near
yeah. Why don't
looking
I
like
look like these
Ronnie.
guys?
Like,
Yeah,
why do I
like
not look like Ronnie Coleman? Like, but yeah, so I was straight in with bodybuilding. I was like, I want to be a bodybuilder. I want to look like a bodybuilder, and that was my thing.
love it, man. So from the early days, you knew exactly like this is all right, cool. I want to look like Triple H or Dave
Yeah,
Batista.
yeah,
They were
yeah,
some badass guys back in the day,
yeah,
man. Like they even now,
yeah,
like they look pretty sick.
exactly.
So when you was in your bedroom, was it literally just like a dumbbell, like an ease head bar, just kind of doing bicep curls? Did you have like a set plan routine, or was it like I'm just gonna lift weights and just do what I can kind of thing?
So I was fortunate enough to have a big brother. So shout out to my big brother because he's the first guy that basically wrote me my first ever training program.
Hmm.
So me and my brother shared a bedroom when we were growing up. He was 3 years older than me. He was the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of wanting to lose weight. I was like wanting to gain weight. So he was like quite over a wee bit overweight. He bought a bench and a dumbbell set and a barbell set and had it in our bedroom. And he was like training all the time. And obviously, me being the younger brother, I'm going to look up to him
Yeah,
and
yeah.
think, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. And but I remember being 14 years old, right? And I knew that right, I want to start lifting weights. I want to get bigger. But I remember reading an article, and it said that if you lift weights at too young of an age, you can stunt your growth plates. And I
Mm.
remember being paranoid. Oh, I want to make sure I can be as tall as possible. So I intentionally waited until my 15th birthday. And do you know why I waited until I turned 15?
Go on.
Because John Cena apparently started lifting weights when he was 15. And for whatever reason, my brain was like, right, if John Cena started when he's
Yeah.
15, I'm going to start when I'm 15. So it's funny looking back now knowing what I know now, that I probably just would have started when I was 14. Like,
Mm.
there's no, do you know what I mean? You can start whenever you want to start. Like, I don't really think there's too young of an age before you start lifting weights. I mean, there's athletes that lift when they're like 12, 13, like Olympic athletes and stuff like that.
I don't know if you've seen those. I think it's those two young like Russian lads. I swear they're like they must be like 7 or 8, and they are absolutely jacked. And their
Yeah,
dad gets them to do
yeah,
like the calisthenics things and like
yeah.
yeah, you never know. Like I don't think there's enough science on it, but I don't see
Mm.
how it would impair. But I remember that as well. It's like don't lift weights as you're too young. You'll stunt your
Yeah,
growth.
yeah,
But I think
yeah,
a lot of that stuff's bullshit, and I think that's like
yeah.
a big problem. Even well, I don't think that'll ever not be a problem where there's always some myth or some unchecked
Yeah,
fact that puts people
yeah.
off either doing a certain thing because of the shit they read online.
Mm,
Um, so that's really cool, man. So you started basically when you was 15, 55 kilos.
mm.
And was that just from like genetics being underweight, or was it like, did you have a bad relationship with food, or how come
No,
you were so underweight at that age?
I honestly think it was just genetics. Like
Mm.
I didn't have a bad relationship with food. Like
Mm.
my mum didn't starve us. Like we were well fed. We could have food whenever we wanted and stuff. But yeah, I've always considered myself an ectomorph, so just
Mm.
mega skinny.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, it was just a genetic thing.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. I'm probably exactly the same, to be fair. Very
Yeah.
skinny. I was fat as a kid, then I went really
Mm.
skinny. And then obviously like just tried to bulk up. So
Yeah.
how has bodybuilding, fitness, how has it impacted you going from that 55-year-old skinny, insecure kid who wouldn't even step foot in the gym because he was
Yeah.
scared of what people think, to the confident 33-year-old guy you are now who will literally go up to anyone,
Mm.
talk to him, and make friends with like what within a heartbeat? You've
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
loads of like amazing friends in such a short space of time. So how has that journey
Mm.
unfolded, and how has fitness changed and impacted your life?
So that's a good question. It's basically me going through that process at a young age. So at the age of 15, that was the first time in my life where I wanted something and I pursued it and I worked hard at something and I got a reward from it.
Mm,
So that was an incredibly amazing lesson for me to know that if you work hard at something, you can get results from it. Yeah. So over the years, as I bulked up, as I built muscle, so as I said at the start, I was 55 kilograms. My biggest I got to was 124 kilograms, which was actually only about 3 months ago. I got to my peak, biggest ever
mm,
size. So that's what more than doubled myself in size in terms of weight. Yeah. Throughout that whole entire process, every kilogram that you gain, every ounce of muscle that you gain is more confidence gained. It's more self-esteem gained. It's
mm,
just more belief in yourself that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I'm building up all of this physical and mental resilience,
mm.
building myself up, getting more confident. It literally is that. It's basically that. Every
Yeah.
kilogram I'm gaining, I'm getting more and more confident. Before you know it, I'm the most confident guy in the world. And like, as you said, I could go up to a wall and make friends with a wall if I wanted to. Like,
And the wall would probably talk back knowing you.
yeah.
You got that
Exactly.
much charisma that you can even get a
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
wall to talk back to you. Love that.
Yeah.
Um, I
But
no, I
yeah,
really agree with that actually, because a lot of people, something someone told me this year that was really stick with me. A lot of people think, confidence is something that you're either born with or
yeah,
you just have or you don't, but that's not true. And confidence
yeah,
isn't being the loudest guy in the room. I was actually talking to
yeah.
my friend recently, and he was going through some relationship issues. And I
Mm,
said, why do you keep going through the same stuff? And he's like, well,
mm,
I really like confident women. And I was like, but maybe you're misinterpreting the meaning of confidence. So
yeah,
you're thinking that just because someone's loud and leery, that they're confident. But
no,
most of the time, that's actually a scapegoat for their insecurity, right?
yeah, hundred
And I
percent.
was like, dude, if you really want to find a confident girl, that is someone who says they're gonna do shit and then
Mm,
executes on that. That's
mm,
real and true confidence. Exactly like you said. Hey, I want to bulk up. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna eat this food. I'm gonna sleep well. And I do that. I see the
yeah,
result. And then you build true confidence, real self-confidence. And he was like, holy fuck, dude, I've not been looking
mm,
at it like that at all.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
that's maybe why all your relationships are breaking down, because you're misinterpreting
yeah, 100%.
confidence. So that's awesome, man, to hear that. Like you're building physical, real, tangible confidence
Yeah,
simply by just saying something and then
mm,
doing something. How
yeah,
many times do we say something,
mate,
or
I
how many times do
know.
people and then not do it? And then you
Mm,
lose confidence, just like you can compound that and build and build and build. If you keep
mm,
saying, hey, I'm going to go to the, like, it's a new year, I'm going to do this, and that, and you don't do any of
yeah,
it, you
yeah,
lose confidence. You lose confidence. You
yeah,
lose
yeah.
trust. So yeah, that's
Mm,
really, really cool to hear, man. So
mm.
obviously going through that and, doubling your size, looking up to these guys, having a massive positive impact. I also want to dig into the stuff that people don't necessarily talk about. Let's say like the darker side of fitness,
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that like is kind of swept under the carpet, like the
yeah,
backdoor
yeah,
secrets of the fitness industry.
yeah.
Is there any like examples of how, because I know bodybuilding, going through it myself, is a very strict lifestyle. That it's a
Mm,
lot of sacrifices has to be made. You can feel very isolated, very lonely at times. What
mm.
are some of the impacts that fitness and bodybuilding's had on you that perhaps people wouldn't realize and maybe wouldn't be seen as like the positive side of things?
So, I mean, obviously, with when it comes to the darker side of things, I am an open book. There's no topic I don't want to talk about. Obviously, being in the competitive bodybuilding world, steroids is the massive, most common thing, and it sometimes surprises me when people are like, "Oh, like I didn't realize that all bodybuilders use steroids." I'm like, "Yeah, basically, like there's natural bodybuilding, which is a very small category of bodybuilding, and then there's
Mm,
I call it actual bodybuilding, where everyone uses everything, and there's performance enhancing drugs, every kind of drug you can imagine. Yeah, there's that whole kind of side of it. So obviously, me being a competitive bodybuilder, so I trained for 4 years naturally. So from the ages of 15 up to 19, I bulked myself up. I gained about 30 or 40 pounds. I got a decent amount of size, but then I was like, right, okay, I've been training for 4 years. I don't look anything like Ronnie Coleman yet. So, and I always knew my goal was to look like a mutant,
mm,
like an absolute beast. Like I didn't want to just a wee bit of muscle and wee bit. I wanted to look unhealthily massive, right?
mm,
So for me, I knew that I need to use steroids in order to go down that road. So I entered into that world, started using when I was what, 19 and a half, 20, and I've been using steroids ever since. So I have got bucket loads of experience in terms of like the dark side of things that brings, the experiences with that. I mean, like, what I always say to people is that if you use steroids, the side effects are person dependent, okay?
mm,
So me and you can use the exact same stuff, but I might be totally fine. You might be really, really bad with things. So there's no such thing as a guaranteed side effect. The only way you would know is by trying it and then seeing, like this is kind of affecting my mental health, or oh, I'm
mm,
getting really spotty, or like, loads of hair growth. There's loads of things that affects, but yeah, there's loads of things I could discuss in terms of that aspect of things. I've got in terms of my own personal experiences with like the darker side of things. Uh, Sleep and insomnia, like
mm.
affecting your ability to sleep. That's a real one that I've always kind of battled with. Uh, and I'd like to think I'm quite lucky. Like, as you know, I am the friendliest guy in the world. Like, you'd never see me in a bad mood.
Mm,
So you hear the myth about roid rage.
mm,
To me, that's a thing that it only affects a very small amount of people. And what I always say is that steroids will enhance what you naturally are. So if you're
mm,
naturally a friendly, happy guy, they'll just make you more of a happier, friendly guy. Like, yes, they can increase aggression, but if you're naturally a dead aggressive, like irritable person, it'll make you worse. So I've never been an aggressive person. So for me, steroids don't make me aggressive. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, definitely.
there's loads of guys that take stuff and it makes them like dead snappy, and that's where the roid rage thing comes about.
I think a lot of that as well is, like you said there, also like just lack of inner growth,
Mm,
because like I'm sure they obviously can change how you think and feel, but if
Yeah.
you're someone who's done the personal development, you kind of like gone through that growth,
Mm.
then I feel like you said it only going to admit what you're already like as a person. So if you go through,
Yeah.
because I always say like fitness could be another word for personal development, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's a really good point. And then in regards to you jumping on the juice, do
Yeah.
you think, because nowadays, with Instagram, social media, all these pressures to
Yeah.
look a certain way, for you,
Mm.
was it more of an intrinsic thing where it's like, hey, I want to just look like these guys and this is what I want to do? Or was
Mm.
there a little bit of also, hey, I need, this is how I feel like I need to look, if that makes sense? Like I have to do this
Yeah.
because of X, Y, and Z.
So that's a great question because I feel like now in today's society, how big social media is, that second thing that you said is more likely to be the case for a lot of people.
Mm.
Feeling like, oh, I need to do that because everyone else is thinking. But back when I first started doing it, it was literally just for me. Like I didn't have those social media pressures because social media wasn't really a thing back then.
Mm.
And it was very, very taboo. It was very not spoken about. So like all the wrestlers in WWE, probably all of them were all just out their minds. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, all these action stars, everyone in Hollywood basically just up for movie roles. Like, but back then it was very much not really known. Now
Mm.
I think it's quite common knowledge that, I mean, why wouldn't you if you're trying to, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
for me, it was just an internal thing. I was like, I want to do this, so I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anyone else.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with steroids. Like
Yeah,
I've even been there and experimented myself. The thing
yeah,
is, it's why are you doing it? It's like, do you want to
mm,
do it because you want to do it? Do you want to do it
yeah,
because your goal is to look like the biggest, baddest person you can? And if so, that's 100% okay. If
yeah,
your goal is because oh so and so from the gym said I should or I
yeah,
want to get 100 likes on my Instagram post,
yeah.
that's
That's
where
so
it's like,
unhealthy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very unhealthy slippery slope. And I think that goes
mm,
for everything. I think that goes for everything in life. Why do you want to earn money? Is it because
mm,
you want to be the best version of yourself and prove to yourself you can do it? Or is it
yeah,
because Bill from the golf club's driving a bloody C-Class Mercedes and you feel
yeah,
insecure? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like
yeah,
there's no right and wrong. If you want to
mm,
jump on steroids, it's absolutely fine.
yeah.
Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons as
Exactly.
opposed to the
Yeah.
social pressures. And this is the other thing is if you see anyone on Instagram with a fucking insane body, they're
Mm,
on steroids. And
yeah, yeah,
this is the scary thing where it's like you might look at that and think, "Oh, I want to get that body," but then you
yeah,
don't know the backstory
mm,
because again, maybe it's a little bit taboo. Like you said, it's becoming more general knowledge now, but I
yeah,
still think there's so much of the population where they'll look at a great body and think, "Wow, that's amazing," but then
mm,
not think, maybe they're on performance enhancing drugs, and that's
yeah.
where the lines can get a little bit blurred.
And
Uh,
it's a good point because it's something I've always prided myself on being honest about. I've
mm,
never ever in my entire life lied about being on steroids. Like if people ask me, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I've even did loads of videos back in the day about just openly talking about it.
mm,
But the issue with that is that, like, obviously there could be younger kids watching it, there could be insecure people watching your stuff. And again, what you said about people wanting to use stuff for the wrong reasons,
mm.
I think you really need to know what you want and be good in your own mind before you go down that road. Um,
100%.
but yeah, and if you're going to do it sensibly. So I've always been very sensible with everything I've done. I'd like to think I've never really abused it.
Mm.
Only just recently. When I can dive into that. I can dive into that, but because I'm basically going through a kind of transition point now where I'm actually wanting to downsize a wee bit and step away from
Mm.
competitive bodybuilding. And obviously I've been using, as I said, I've been using steroids throughout my competitive career. And the competitive bodybuilding has a shelf life, in my opinion. It's not a long term, healthy, sustainable way to live your life. You're blasting gear, you're blasting loads of food. Like
Mm.
just the food thing, like not let's take steroids out of the equation. eating 5, 6,000 calories a day
Mm,
is so much stress on your digestive system. Like your digestive system's working overtime to try and
mm,
process all that food. That's not healthy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm
100%.
I'm at a point where I've been doing it for 18 years. I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve in bodybuilding and more. And I'm like, well, I'm now happy to step away from it, come right down, come off everything, just focus on being fitter, healthier. I'm a total open book. I don't think I'll ever come off steroids permanently because for me, you know what TRT is, obviously, so
Yeah, yeah,
testosterone replacement
testosterone.
therapy.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone not aware, testosterone
Yeah,
replacement therapy.
any man over the age of 30 to 35, I believe, should be using some form of hormone replacement because why wouldn't you?
Mm,
Why wouldn't you want to feel amazing, feel like you were when you were 19, 20? Like, as men, as we get older, our hormone levels naturally start to decline. And it's all the evidence is there. Every negative side effect that comes with low testosterone, it's better to be on stuff or just a wee bit of testosterone
mm.
and disregard all those negatives. That's my opinion. And again, these are just opinions, so it's not we're not doctors here. We're not trying to like
We're not
prescribe, but
advocating steroid use as
yeah,
well.
we're
Disclaimer.
no disclaimer. We're not saying everyone, but that's just my opinion. I'm allowed to have an
Yeah.
opinion. So
No, 100%, man.
yeah,
Do you know what? I agree because I put out an Instagram post recently saying last 2024 was a really difficult year. It was a really good year, challenging year, had so
yeah,
many ups, so many downs. One of the things was I wanted to go into the bodybuilding world again, not because I had any pressures to do it, but
yeah,
because, like you, that's something I'd always wanted. I wanted to be a big, strong dude who looks in amazing shape because
yeah,
I want to do it, right? Not because
yeah.
anyone else is telling me to, not because
Mm,
I feel obliged to, because it's like, hey, you only get one life. Can you see if you can get as big and strong and look as
mm,
good as you possibly can? And
yeah,
like you said there, it's not just the drug use, but it's the amount of sacrifice you have to make, which can have, you
yeah,
know, effects on relationships and other
yeah,
personal things.
yeah.
The amount of food.
Mm.
So, the like China just, I was eating bowls of Cocoa Pops for like 120 grams. Imagine how much, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Post workout, like that's
yeah,
not even a meal. That's just post workout. So
yeah,
it's like you're hitting your body with so much food, insulin,
yeah,
sugar.
yeah.
And then you've obviously not only that, but you've got to train like a fucking animal in the gym, which can,
Mm. Yeah,
take a bit of a
smashing your
toll on you.
joints, tendons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you are using steroids, bulking up, you're getting
Mm.
stronger, your ligaments aren't quite as. So I had to kind of like take a bit of a step back just for the minute so I could essentially go forward, if that makes sense, because I
Yeah, yeah,
realized that although this is my goal, it's taken a lot of emphasis off other parts of my life. And as a result of me personally, my relationship broke down. So that was
yeah,
like, fuck, you have to weigh these
yeah,
things up. But like I was saying, like you were saying, I really love the fact that like I'm in the camp of there's no right and there's no wrong in life. As long as you're not
yeah.
hurting someone, I feel
Exactly.
like you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want to do. If you
Mm.
want to become the biggest, baddest man, woman on the planet you can possibly be,
Yeah.
cool,
Go for
do that. Go all, yeah,
it.
love it. Love the journey. Love the fact that
Yeah.
you're doing that. Do you know what I mean? But love the fact that
Yeah.
you're doing that because you want to do it, not because
Yeah.
anyone else wants to do it. Love the
Yeah.
grind, love the sacrifice.
Mm.
Alternatively, if you want to be the biggest business savage, love, cool, do it. Go
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
in on that, sacrifice everything. But it's
Mm.
again, it's coming down to the why do you want to do it? Are you doing
Mm.
it from the intrinsic point of view? Or you're doing
Yeah.
it for the extrinsic point of view. Because if you're doing it
Mm.
from the extrinsic point of view, you're probably not going to do very well anyway. Do you know
Yeah.
what I
It's
mean?
destined to failure if you're just trying to get likes and fucking superficial shit that doesn't mean anything. Like,
Mm.
yeah, it's you're so right. Yeah.
It's such, I think social media could also have its own category in this whole dark side
Oh
of
yeah.
not even fitness these days. Like
Yeah.
it's imagine kids these days growing up and being like, oh, I need to have X amount of followers. I need to have X amount of
Yeah,
likes on
yeah.
my post. Like,
Honestly, it terrifies me. Like I really feel for. I'm not a dad. I'm not a parent, but like I coach loads of like parents, and I honestly, it scares me the thought of bringing up a kid in this society. Like, there's so many distractions. Like, honestly, like I feel for parents that are out there and
Mm.
they're trying to raise kids, and I can't even imagine how difficult it is. So yeah, it is scary.
100%. And I think that's another reason as well why it's like you should try and be the best version of you for you. You know,
Yeah.
whether you, whatever that is, it's,
Mm.
hey, I'm trying to be the best version I can be so my child can just watch. You know,
Yeah.
if you're someone who's in the gym, working hard, caring about what they put into their body,
Mm.
your son, daughter's probably going to do the same.
Yeah,
If
yeah. Lead
you're
by
someone,
example. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. If you're just like sitting there and watching wrestling on the sofa, eating fucking Pop Tarts, like your kid's probably
Yeah.
gonna grow up doing that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is that social media pressure is never gonna not be there. So it's like,
Mm.
what can you do as a person to provide that best quality? It could
Yeah.
be, your brother, dad, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be for your children, but
Mm.
whatever is important to you as well. Another thing that I think is important to highlight is as you kind of go through the journey and you get bigger, you get leaner, you get stronger. I don't know about you, but for me, and this is something I've made quite clear to my clients as well, you get you're never happy. It's never good enough. And
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
weird way, you kind of you feel like you look even worse. Can you relate
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah. Do you know that's such a prevalent point you just made because I've just recently, as I said, a couple of months ago, I got to my biggest ever size. So imagine 15-year-old Darren, I want to get bigger, I want to look massive, I want to be as huge as humanly possible. I'm working away for all of these years. I eventually, 18 years in, get to that peak pinnacle that I thought was what I wanted. And what I realized is that for me to be, what, it was 124 kilograms, I felt absolutely terrible. Like, I cannot tell you how crap I felt. Like,
Mm,
I feel like my body's just not meant to carry that much weight. Like, walking upstairs was difficult. Mate, putting your socks on, like, it was actually embarrassing, like, how much I was struggling to put my socks on because your body's got so much size and water retention
mm,
because all the drugs and everything that I was using, like insulin, growth hormone, every fucking anabolic you can imagine. And just you're just so full of like water retention and
mm.
size. You feel so uncomfortable. It affects your ability to do anything. Walking upstairs, putting your socks on, having sex is
Yeah.
you're useless at that. Uh, your sleep's terrible, digestion was terrible at that point, and it was just a kind of epiphany moment of me just getting to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? Like,
Mm,
I'm already confident and happy. Like I've now pushed beyond to the point where it's not healthy and it's not good. And that was for me was a point I was like, well, I've achieved everything I wanted in bodybuilding. Why am I doing this? I'm not wanting to be a professional. I don't
mm,
want to be a professional bodybuilder. Like for me, it was always just a passion and a hobby. It wasn't like I want to be an IFBB pro, like chasing. Again, you're chasing things for the wrong reasons. Like ask a lot of people that are trying to get a pro card, why do you want to be a pro? And it's like, they don't even know. They're just, oh, because social media,
mm.
like, so I can put it
Yeah.
in my Instagram, IFBB pro Darren Mullally, like,
Just in the bio.
good. Yeah,
Like,
good for you.
oh,
Like, what?
mad in it.
That the only reason you want it? Like,
Yeah.
for me, it was a case of going, I don't want this anymore. So now
Yeah.
I've now gone the reverse. I'm now downsizing. So I've actually lost 30 pounds already
Nice, bro.
just from not blasting loads of steroids, not fucking shoving in 6,000 calories a day. Like some mornings I wake up and I don't eat. I don't eat until like, do you know what I mean? I'll just fast.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Like every day the grind, like as soon as you wake up, shoveling a big massive meal down your throat, constantly full, lethargic all the time. I was like, this isn't what I thought I wanted. That's the
mm,
thing. I think a lot of people experience that. You might have a goal, you might think, oh, I want to be a millionaire, I want to run a business that's pulling in six figures, but then you realize the stress that's involved with running a business that pulls in six figures. Like you'll
mm.
soon realize whether you do or whether you don't want it or not. once you
Mm,
actually get there. And that's
yeah.
basically I got to with my bodybuilding.
I love that, man. I love everything you've just said there because it just highlights again, like it's there's nothing wrong with doing any of that stuff. It's
Yeah,
just making sure that, hey, this is what you really want to do, and this is why
mm,
you want to do it. You know,
yeah,
if you want to become the pro to fucking have IFBB pro in your bio, it's like,
yeah,
dude, like, no. If
yeah,
it's like, no, I just want to do this. It's basically, hey, would you be doing this if no one was fucking watching?
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
That's such a good. Yeah, I
and
love
if the
that.
answer is yes, yeah,
Mm,
go all in, man. Like,
yeah, yeah,
go all in and do that and love every fucking second of it. If it's
mm,
like, actually, if social media wasn't a thing, I wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. It's like
yeah.
you're not doing the right thing here, you know.
Mm.
Which is really cool to hear you say that. It's like I
And I
realized that.
want to. Sorry, I was just going to say I want to stress the point that I know a lot of guys and girls that are pushing bodybuilding and they're pushing the extremes, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No, nothing.
I love bodybuilding. I love everything it's gave me. It's gave me all of the positive stuff I've got in my life. But for me, it was just a personal one. Like, I don't want to be pushing like this. I'm not
Yeah,
saying there's anything wrong with that. So, because I've got loads of friends that are doing it and they're pushing, and I support everyone in what they do. Exactly what you said. It's them that needs to want to be doing it. It's not,
yeah.
shouldn't be external factors. It should be you and yourself want to achieve this. So go and do it. For me, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. That's why I'm stepping back from it. But
100%, man. I agree with exactly what you're saying. Like, if anyone listening to this thinking we're saying you shouldn't do a certain thing, we're actually saying no, you should. You should
yeah,
fucking do
yeah,
that thing. If
go
you
for
want
it,
to,
man.
yeah, if you want to jump on steroids and get as big as you possibly can,
Yeah,
do it. The
yeah,
only thing is, do it because you want to do it, and it's
yeah,
something you truly believe that you want to do it for yourself. You don't even need to have an agenda for doing it, just the fact that
yeah,
you love doing it.
yeah,
The
yeah,
only thing is, and that goes for getting in the best shape of your life as well, right? Because there's the
yeah,
other side of the coin is like
yeah,
also when you're that leanest version of yourself.
yeah,
Hey, dude, when I was six pack shred and did my photo shoot, I was fucking freezing because I didn't have any
yeah,
like body
yeah,
fat. Yeah.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
hungry all the time. I had
yeah,
zero
yeah,
sex drive,
yeah.
you know, and then well, now I look back and I think, God, I was actually like, although I was
It's
six pack shredded, I
miserable.
look skinny. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's either way you look at it,
yeah.
there's that kind of like,
It's the extreme ends of the scale, isn't it? Like,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
And again, there's nothing. I part of me is like that was the best thing I ever did in my life because
yeah,
it showed me how capable I was of
yeah,
achieving X, Y, and Z. And I'll probably do a similar thing again. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
going back to like, hey, this is what it means for me, and then committing to that and doing it for the
Mhm.
right reasons, which I think is so important, man. Which
Yeah.
I love everything about that.
Uh-huh.
I think the thing as well to be aware of it, the thing to note here is you just got to be aware of these things. You know,
Yeah.
how many bodybuilders do you know that end up with body dysmorphia, an unhealthy
Yeah.
relationship with food,
Yeah.
physical health concerns, you know?
Yeah.
And again, absolutely fine. Just know
Mm.
that these things could happen and then be okay with the fact that you're committing to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
um have you I remember listening to a podcast on Ben Pakulski and
Yeah.
he finished second in the Mr. Olympia. I can't remember what year it was.
It might, no, it would have been maybe an Arnold Classic or something.
Right. And he came off stage and was like obviously this guy looked he coming second in that is
Yeah.
insane,
Yeah.
right? He came off stage and was like, I'm probably the most unhappy I've ever been with like my physique. And it's just
Yeah.
crazy to think that you can go through all that, work so
Yeah.
hard for something, and then just you get there and you're like, oh, this isn't
I
it.
know. Yeah.
I
That was me. That was me a couple of months ago. Like, I was like,
yeah.
"Fuck, but why did I want this? Like, this is, yeah, it's very real that hits home, that kind of thing. But there you go.
That's the thing. Like, you just got to be aware of it and know that if it happens, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
going off the subject of bodybuilding slightly, because I know a lot of the people you coach are more kind of like your
Yeah.
lifestyle
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
people that don't they might look at a physique like one you have and think, ah, that is sick, but that's not my goal kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Most people.
You get that a
Um,
lot. Like, oh, I
yeah.
don't want to be too big. You're like, oh, trust me, you're not going to get
Yeah, I
too
love
big.
that.
Like,
I'm
it
not
takes
trying to look like,
18 years to,
yeah,
like,
I get that. They're like, I'm not trying to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or nothing. I'm like, all right,
trust
yeah,
me,
cool.
even if you tried, you wouldn't look anything. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like saying, oh, good job, man, because I actually had that in plan for you. So it's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
job you said that because you never know. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
what are some of the biggest challenges, obstacles that you see those people have, and how do they overcome them? I know we spoke about gym anxiety, gym intimidation, but then
Yeah.
for that person who's like, you know, maybe just trying to live a bit of a healthier lifestyle, 30 pounds overweight, want to get in shape, what kind of challenges do you see come up, and what's your best advice from 18 years worth of experience?
So, one of the things that I really want to try and help people with is that people, when they're motivated, they'll get stuck in, they'll work hard for like a month or two, but then life will constantly throw barriers at you. You will constantly get a hurdle put in your way, a wall comes up in front of you, you're like, oh shit, how do I get past this wall? People basically give up too easily. So as soon as something gets difficult, they give up. They think, oh, well, I can't do this now. Instead of having the mindset of going, okay, there's a barrier in front of me. Can I get around this? Can I work around it? Or do I just need to stop? And that's something that I see quite a lot coaching lifestyle clients is that they'll kind of like they'll maybe be working away for a month or so and then something happens in work, like they need to start picking up loads of overtime or whatever it is, and they're like, oh, I just don't have time anymore. I need to do this, need to do that. It's people that are not prioritizing properly and they're not managing their time properly. Now, I don't like to use that quote, everyone has 24 hours in a day, because yes, we technically do, but your 24 hours is different to my 24 hours. If you've got kids,
Hmm.
work commitments, commitments outside, it's all relevant, okay? However, you do have the ability to control those 24 hours that are yours, yeah? Can you get up a wee bit earlier? Can you
Hmm.
stay up a wee bit later? If you're I train single mums that live at home with their kids. They physically can't go to the gym. So can you do home workouts? Do
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like people just think, oh, I can't go to the gym, therefore I can't. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you don't need to go to a gym. You actually don't need to step foot in a gym if you want to just live a healthier life. You just
Yeah.
need to move your body more. Get good with your nutrition. Drink more water. I'm constantly got bottles. I could talk about water for about an hour, but it's one of the number one things that people struggle with is drinking
Hmm.
water.
Hmm.
And it's so it seems so easy in
Yeah.
principle, but it's creating habits. They're not used to drinking water, so like, oh, I forget. They forget. Set alarms on your phone. There's so many things like in terms of advice I could give, but yeah, the main thing people struggle with is giving up too easily. Yeah, and just struggling with time. But again, I say about right, it's about managing that time. Actually, write down your entire day, hour
Hmm.
by hour, break it all down, and then find right, can I fit in a 30-minute slot here, 30-minute slot there? Like, look at your schedule, deep dive into it, and go through it with a fine tooth comb and say, right, what am I going to do from X to X, X to X, and try and like say, right, I can maybe get a half an hour there. I'll do a
Hmm.
30-minute YouTube workout, stick on the TV, do it in the living room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
100%.
always a way to get something done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You either find a way or find an excuse. I know that sounds hard,
exactly.
but it is the
Yeah,
truth.
it's so true.
It is the truth. And it probably stings for a few people hearing that.
Yeah,
And also, I like what you said there. It's like, technically, yeah, we have 24 hours, but me and you, it's our job. So we can go, you know
yeah,
what I mean? If we
yeah,
don't,
yeah, yeah.
but for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, you got the job, you got the family, you got this,
Yeah.
and that. I think as well, it's accepting that, like, do you know what? It's actually hard for me. It's hard.
Mm.
It's a lot harder for me to get in shape than John down the road.
Yeah.
But embrace that. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
don't
good. Why is that a bad thing?
exactly. I think so many
Good.
of us look at something and like, oh, but that's hard. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
that's the fucking point. That's why you should do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't
Exactly.
don't look at hard
Mm.
as a bad connotation.
I
That's
know.
it's just a
Yeah.
word. Okay, it's hard. Okay, it's easy. So what? Do you know what I
Yeah, do
mean?
you know what? I learned at a young age to associate pain with growth.
Yeah, 100%.
Like with bodybuilding, I'm putting my muscle through physical pain, but I know
Mm,
it's going to grow. So I now associate pain with growth.
yeah,
Whereas someone else might associate pain with, oh, that's scary, that's negative, I don't want to experience pain. Pain's
100%.
fucking good. Pain
Yeah,
is where you grow, physically and
100%,
mentally.
man.
Like, oh,
I fucking love that. I absolutely
yeah.
love that because so true. And going back to that thing we were speaking about, like if your goal is to get as shredded as possible,
Mm.
hey, enjoy the fact that you're going to be starving. Enjoy
Yeah,
the fact that you might
yeah,
look at yourself and think, I'm not good enough. And it's just changing your perception. It's just looking at that and thinking, I'm
perception,
going to
yeah.
try and love every part of the journey, the good, the bad,
Mm.
the ugly. And because if I love every part of the journey and or at least see it through a different lens, it's going to make the
Mm.
whole thing more enjoyable. So that when I
Yeah,
am hungry and when I am tired, fuck, this is what I wanted to do. This is where I'm
exactly.
growing, you know? And I think that's so powerful, man. I
You
love that you
know,
said that.
that's one of my favorite words. I think my favorite word that keeps coming up over and over again is perception.
Mm,
No matter what you're going through in life, whether it's positive or negative, your perception of a situation can change it from a
mm,
negative to a positive. Any situation, even as brutal like losing a loved one,
mm,
whatever, you can always try and pick a positive perception from the situation and move forward with it, or you can choose to think negatively. Do you know
100%,
what I
man.
mean? I
And
love that. I
that
love the word perception. It's probably my
Me
favorite word.
too. Me too. Towards the end of 2024, that was like my word. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
hey, me and you could both look at the same thing. You
mm,
could look at it in a positive way. I could look at it in a negative way. You will
yep,
then use that as an opportunity to come out on top. I will then use that as an excuse to go backwards. And
yep,
I think so many people, even like you just said, they're looking at something knowing it's going to be hard and being like,
mm,
oh, but it's so hard for me to do this. Or you could
yeah.
be like, right, this is going to
Let's
be
fucking go.
fucking hard.
Yeah,
Let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like rolling the
yeah,
sleeves
yeah,
up. And it's the same thing, man. Like, hey, it's hard. Choose
yeah.
your hard, right? Like choose how you want to
Mm.
perceive your hard.
Choose your
Um,
heart. I like
yeah,
that.
love it, man. Love it. What advice then would you give for someone who is a bit stop-starty? Oh, I've got so much motivation. You know, January the 1st, I'm in the gym, and then February the 1st, how's the diet going? Yeah, I kind of fell off track. What advice would you give someone to kind of maintain that consistency in quotation marks motivation?
So if I could say one thing to try and encourage people to keep going when things get hard is that one of my favorite quotes is that the only difference between you and the people that are successful in life is that the people that are successful in life kept going when things got difficult. They didn't give up, whereas
Mm,
you gave up. That's why you're still unhappy and why you're still in the position that you're in. That's the best quote in the world. Like, it's so true. People that are successful in life, they had all those speed bumps, they had all those hurdles in front of them, but they found a way to work around it. They didn't
mm,
just stop and give up. So just keep
yeah.
going, find a solution, don't find an excuse, work around the situation. I've never came across a situation in my 18 years where I was like, I am stuck in this position and I cannot move forward. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? Like you break your leg, oh, I can't go to the gym, I broke my leg. But could you actually go to the gym and just train your upper body? You
mm,
know what I mean? There's
yeah.
always a fucking sorry for swearing so much. I say
Mate.
that's the Scottish part of me. That we use the word fuck as a like a in between word.
Yeah, it's like a
Uh,
connecting word. Yeah.
yeah, a connecting word. But yeah, you know
Yeah,
what? It's like find a solution, don't find an excuse. You can always work around shit. So yeah.
yeah, and I like guys, this is pure fire coming from Malay muscle over here, man. Like this is
Yeah,
unbelievable. I'm fired up listening to this.
yeah.
It's that simple as well, though. It's that simple, and
Yeah.
this is the thing where it's like it's easy to think, why me? You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, why has this happened to me? Why has
Yeah.
that happened to me? Oh, this person didn't have to go through that. The truth
Mm.
is, yeah, they fucking did. They did, but they
Yeah.
just carried on going regardless. We all have problems. We all have issues. Even,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
Bill Gates probably
Yeah,
has so many problems going on in his life, Elon
yeah,
Musk. But the thing is, they just keep going. And
yeah,
you ultimately have that decision to say, do you know
yeah,
what? Everything's burning around me right now. I don't feel good. Fuck it.
mm,
I'm going to keep going.
yeah,
You literally have that decision to just do it. Don't feel like going to the gym anyway? Oh, gonna go. Don't
yeah,
feel like eating healthy today? Oh, gonna go. Broke my
yeah,
leg? All right, 3 months, recover. I'm gonna come back stronger. And it's
yeah,
just that ability to keep going, keep going, keep going. Because if you don't give up, you eliminate the possibility of failure, which
yeah,
leaves you with only one other outcome. And
mm,
that other outcome is success. Success
yeah,
is guaranteed, speed is not.
mm,
So if you just keep going, doesn't matter how long it takes, but you'll
yeah.
get there eventually and you will figure something out in the right way. So yeah, absolutely amazing. Absolutely
Well,
amazing.
let me add, I'm going to add one more thing about that and just say that I was in the shower this morning. I have a lot of my best thoughts in the shower. I don't know about you, but something about being in the shower is like that's like my meditation time. My
Mm,
mind just thinks. I think about things, I visualize things. And I was thinking, I was just like, if you're not happy with your life right now, you are the only one that's in control of changing that. Nobody else can change or take away your happiness. It's you that decides that.
mm,
Nobody else is gonna help you. You
yeah,
need to help yourself. And do you know what I mean? I
100%.
was thinking about that and I was like, that's so true. I need to make a post about that.
Yeah, definitely. No one's gonna come save you.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I think we're always looking for that big thing that's going to be the breakthrough, or
Yeah.
whatever, the savior to come, or hey,
It's taking ownership and taking accountability.
yeah, of everything.
It's your fault that you're not happy. It's nobody
Mm.
else's. You're in control of your happiness, so don't blame other people. Take ownership, take accountability for it, and own it and move forward with it.
And ultimately, that's how you take control of your life.
Yeah.
Even if you got hit by a bus,
Mm.
like a freak accident,
Mm.
you still take ownership saying, all right, maybe it's my fault that I was in that position at that time. Okay,
Mm.
circumstances played out, but it's then because what you do is you take the power away from X and you give
Yeah.
it back to yourself. Because if
Yes.
you're constantly blaming things and others and
Mm.
situations and circumstances,
Yeah, that's just
you're
a
ba- you're,
negative
you're
downward
basically
spiral.
saying, I'm helpless, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, actually, everything's my responsibility, everything's my ownership, I
Mm.
can then make the right action to move forward. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm just leaving it to the hands of the fucking gods. And that's,
Mm.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good point, man. I love that.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap up, what's next for you? I know you said there you start to scale away a little bit from like chasing size.
Yeah.
What's next for you personally, fitness wise, business goals? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So as I said, like personally, I'm stepping away from competitive bodybuilding, but I'm still in the bodybuilding bubble. I still love bodybuilding. I sponsor a show up in Scotland called the Granite City. I'm heavily involved in that show, so still involved in bodybuilding. I'm just not planning on getting back on a stage.
Mm,
And for me, my personal goals now are just to feel good. So the older I'm getting, the more important it's becoming to feel good rather than look good.
mm,
I feel like when you're young, you're in your 20s, all you care about is looking good. I want to have a six pack, I want to be this, I want to be that. But you disregard completely how you actually feel. Whereas now, being in my 30s, getting more perspective in life, growing up, being more mature, it's flipped the other way. Now, how I feel is way more important than how I look. I still obviously want to look good. So, my goals are just to basically downsize a wee bit, get leaner, get like a bit more functional, more fit, be able to kind of run up and down stairs, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Just be able to literally put my socks on and not struggle. That's a sounds like a stupid goal, but it's a real one. And I've already made leaps and bounds on those things. Like, as I said, I've lost 30 pounds already. I feel so good right now, like mentally. I feel so good right now. I feel clear. My mindset's in a good place. Physically, I feel much better. So that's what I'm going to do personally. Business wise, just continue to keep building my business, working with as many people as I can. I am in this business to help as many people as I can. So for me, it's just about continuing to do that, helping people as much as I can, doing more podcasts. I something I personally love is public speaking,
Mm,
and I got my first wee taste of it earlier in the year last year. I did a couple of seminars down here in Cheltenham, and it
cool.
was literally standing in front of a group of strangers and talking to them and presenting, and that got me so excited, man. Like
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I want. I definitely want to do that more public speaking, podcasts, whatever. Anything that involves speaking and being on a camera, I'm all for that. And yeah, that's pretty much me. Continue to keep helping people, keep putting out the positive vibes, motivating people, being the most optimistic, positive guy in people's world. So
Love it,
that's
man.
me.
Love it. If we could all have a Darren Mallet in our back pocket, I think the world would be a better
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Um,
Everyone needs a wee bit of Malali muscle in their life.
how can they find you?
So my Instagram is Malali_muscle, or Darren Malali on Facebook. I do have a YouTube, but well, that's another thing. I want to try and kind of grow the YouTube, but YouTube is a hard grind, man. It's
Mm,
very unforgiving. You can spend hours editing a video. You post it and you get like 200 views. You're like, what the hell? But anyway,
mm.
Instagram's my main social media platform. So you'll put my stuff in
In
the
the notes.
captions or
Yeah,
whatever, yeah, in
yeah.
the notes. So find me on Instagram. That's the best way to reach me. Uh, but yeah,
Love it,
drop me a
man.
follow, give me a message. Yeah,
Hit this guy up, man. He's an absolute gem of a person. Thank you so
thank you,
much
Thomas.
for listening. Thank you so much for hopping on, bro. If
My
you
pleasure,
found
mate.
value from this podcast, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you can to help the podcast grow so that people like me and Darren can get our message across more, help more people, and ultimately just help you to live a much better, healthier, fulfilling life. So I love you and leave you. Have a fantastic day, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.